Good morning, good morning. Where you been so long? It seems like audio is coming across just old fine here, doesn't it? And that is good news for me. What we were doing here, let's see if I refresh this page. Does it go to the bottom? It does go down to the bottom. That's because we wrote a little JavaScript to push it to the bottom because we're working on styling the bottom of the page. Checkity check check. But what we did is we put a magic number at the bottom. What did we call it? Final. That's what we called it. The final thing on the page. We used viewport units to do it, which actually feels fine to me if it was a one-off, but the purpose of this amazing stream is that we're going to do it a different way because, of course, if we change the word to kapow with an exclamation point at the end of it, which frankly I kind of like, we've already broken it. It doesn't work anymore. Or what we've done is we've triggered a... Actually, interesting. Look at how the you probably can barely see it on the stream, but the bottom bar is cut off. I wonder if that's a little mistake in our in the layout of this page. I gotta log it as a bug because, of course, I work on CodePen, and this is our beta new editor, and that's the deal. You can see it just fine here, but then when you put minimal UI on, you can still see the bar, but it's cut off halfway, which should probably never do that. Don't love it. Cool. We'll turn the minimal off for now. So now our 35 viewport with units is wrong because all we did was add an exclamation point. That's the sort of thing that a more robust setup for fit with text could do. And we were looking at Roman has two different techniques for doing this. One of them uses scroll driven animations he published in like maybe even 2023 or something, which was very clever. But scroll-driven animations is still not in Firefox. It's flagged, and it's only in Safari 26 or whatever they're calling it. So I think that was Roman's impetus for doing this and stuff. Let's see. I'm gonna open my little comment drawer here. That's my favorite part of streaming is when I get to talk to people. All right, cool. And what we started with last time, I had some audio issues yesterday too with this software. The microphone would just die, and I switched out audio interfaces. So part of the purpose of this stream too is to see if it holds on. I noticed I had Zoom open yesterday too, so that's one of my theories as to why it farted out on me. All right, so yesterday we looked at all this. I don't feel the need to like re-explain it, even though and explain is a strong word. I understood a little bit of it, but I never understood what the support sentinel really does. It's because we just didn't read every word of the blog post yet. So I'm kind of hoping to just do that and see if we can understand what's going on with this crazy chunk of CSS. But I wonder if we should implement it first, because what I don't want to do is like spend a ton of time doing this and then not have it actually done. I wonder if we can just straight up steal it. So I just copied it, and I'll just go into our CSS, and I'm gonna, final is okay, but I'm just gonna paste all of that. Can you put at properties down at just anywhere in CSS, or do they need to be at the top? I don't know that, but I feel like I often see them at the top, like at font face. I don't even know if at font face does, frankly, but it's just even whatever. It's still a kind of a good convention. So text fit is the thing that I guess we'll put around that. So we'll leave final alone and we'll wrap this. Command-Shift-A brings up the emit wrap thing. I just use that all the time. Text fit, but that's not all the HTML, was it? We looked at Roman's HTML and it was pretty weird. Not weird, but weird. So where's that class text fit? Even that wasn't a div, was it? There's a span for some reason. Does that matter? It's display flex, so I don't think that the base class probably matters a little bit. So really we just need what's inside of it. So that, let me just make sure we save kapow, because our text is kapow. And that was one of the downsides of this technique is that it had text duplication. Usually something to avoid. It's handled accessibly here, but you know, not the favorite in the world. Is that an extra div? No. Oh, that's nice. Good job, CodePen, telling us. What does it say? Tag must be paired. Failed to match another tag. Actually, what in the build process is even doing that? Oh, we have HTML hint turned on. How handy. Yeah, we need that. In fact, I'll just format the file so this becomes more clear down here. Great. And is it already working? Ooh, my God. That's amazing. So it's pretty copy and pastable solution, I'd say, which is wonderful. Now let's put some exclamation points. I guess I have to select them both. So Command D will, if you have a text selection and you just hit Command D, you'll get the next text selection there too. I'll put a bunch of exclamation points in it. Ooh, that didn't work at all. Ooh, it's because I put them. I need to stay inside the span here. Burp, 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 burp. That should be okay, Neo. Yeah, look at that. So it shrank it. I set no font size at all, particularly here, right? Right. That rules. So I guess we could go about our business of trying to understand what's actually happening there. What is actually happening there? We could look at this code again, but I do actually want to just read it, I think, to understand. But let's go through it quickly so we remember what we're doing here. So we have this class of text fit. That's what you slap on up here to kick off the whole party. It's display flex, which turns out to be important. Of course it is. It is a container. We're going to set the captured length to initial. Not sure what that does. The support sentinel should be initial. This is, I was confused by this. It's like, why this is a valid value, so this fallback should never kick in. Aria hidden is this bottom one, which we're only hiding visibly, but not, you know, that should still take up pixel space. Not sure if that's important or not. Then anything that's not hidden, so I guess this span and this span, both of these together, but no, it has a direct descendant, so it's really just this. Has a flex grow on it, container type inline size. Okay, so these are, this and this are sitting next to each other. It's just this one has flex grow on it, while the other one does not. It's also a container. So the parent is a container, and like half of the flex box is a container. And we're capturing this. This part does make sense to me because you're like, okay, this thing's a container, and I want to remember how big it is even when I go down to children, because he's setting a different captured length here, which is a child of this. So it's a way to have access to container query units at two different levels at the same level. A little weird to think about. Anytime you see tan, atan, I guess Dave described that yesterday as the fact that it turns into a ratio, it turns into a unitless thing, which is awfully nice to use. So I think available space is captured length, which is initial temporarily, but perhaps not unitless necessarily. And that's just a way to force it into something that is unitless that you can use in something like multiplication right here. So I think you had to do this in order to do this. And then the font size itself, which this is the, well, it's setting dash font size, but I assume font size gets set at some point, right? Right there. Interesting. Is that the only place it's set? Because this selector seems interesting to me. It's like, and not fit text. Like, what is that trying to do? The selector here is that, which is the child of Aria not hidden. So it's this one. But it's not allowed to like have the class of text fit for some reason. I don't know why that matters, but I think Dave mentioned yesterday that it was it's potentially because you could nest these things or something like that. I'm not quite sure, but that's where we set the font size. So it's getting set here. I think the important part is that we have this ratio now. Like, what is the ratio? The ratio is, I think he describes it nicely here. It's like this gray box here its container units minus this one, or like divided by or whatever, it gives us the leftover. And we're very interested in the leftover text because that has like shrink wrapped around the text. And so if we have that ratio, we can like apparently use it in a multiplication kind of thing. Like, excuse me if I'm not explaining this perfectly. That's kind of the point of this stream, is that we're like trying to wrap our mind around it. I don't want to sound like I absolutely know how this works exactly. I'm kind of just trying to wrap my mind around it somewhat for the first time. All right, so now that we have this ratio from comparing the available space to the to this. Oh, hi, Emmett, thanks. It's back to NPR quality. That's good. I hope it's close. I sent, let's see, I'll switch to my, I put different scenes in my little streaming thing. You see those black things behind me? They're like, they stop the echo and stuff. I still have some more to put around, but it should improve the audio quality a bit if you hear echo. Pretty cool. I have some different ones too, like my little half cam setup. Was that fancy or what? I'm like a freaking streamer over here. All right, so we're trying to figure out this dang thing still. And we get the font size and then we apply the font size. Remember the other technique too, applied transform, and that felt weird. So whatever. All right, so now we're gonna keep reading. So we get the ratio, and that's comparing the shrink wrapped one to the full container. Fascinating. This is the root of the cleverness, I'm afraid. You have two different containers and you can compare the container units within them. Very, very clever. Okay, so we take the topmost wrapper is a container. It's a child that spans the remaining space is also a container. So we register the custom or the captured length, which is 100 CQI, which just means 100% as wide as the container is. Even that's just a miracle that we can do that in CSS these days. Then we're going to reuse it later, but we're going to use available space, whatever. I think we've wrapped our mind around that. So getting the ratio. All right. However, wait. Let's just read from the top. Now we have two lengths, available space for our furthest out container and our closest containers in line size. Yes. Ideally, we now just divide one by the other. So we should be able to do that. Apparently the specs say we can do that, but we can't do it because it's probably not the right units, even though it looks like we are using a property to declare the types of units. Apparently you can't, depending on what units they are, you can't always divide into each other. I think you need to, when you use division, like a slash in a calculation in CSS, like the second one, the thing that you're dividing by needs to essentially be unitless. So you can take 30 pics divided by 2 or 10 rem divided by 8, but you can't say 5 rem divided by 3 rem. Like the second rem is the browser's like, I can't handle that. So you need some way, if you accidentally have something or you're not sure if something has a unit, to basically remove that unit, turn it into a ratio, and that's what tan atan do. So credit to Jane Ori for coming up with that trick. That is some CSS trickery. That's the kind of stuff that it's almost so clever that you kind of see someone like that you work with pushing back against you, being like, I don't like to even see it. It's hard to reason about. It's the kind of thing I would almost demand there be a written exclamation or explanation for in a code base. Be like, if you're going to use some fancy crap like that, you better leave a note saying what it does. Link to the blog post that explains it. Finishing touches. Remember, this clamp is just a nice touch to make sure that there's a minimum. You don't really need a maximum. It is interesting to me that shouldn't you just use min or max then instead of clamp? Because what this is saying is, well, no, I see what the point is. Like, remember in this original chunk of code up here, the max length is never defined. This max font size, it just appears nowhere else. But that gives you like a hook into this code that says, if you need a max font size, you can set one. If you want that behavior, you can do that. But the fallback is basically it doesn't have a max font size. It's infinity. But the minimum was always 1em. I like that. Very opinionated. And remember, the result of that is these are pretty big. This is all pretty big, but this is the smallest piece of text in here. And as this gets smaller, it does scale. And then it scales down to what 1em would be. And then it's like, well, I can't get any smaller. My clamp has told me I can't get any smaller, which is nice. So it retains its kind of readability. It's happy to get bigger, but not smaller than 1rem. So that it's like an accessibility feature and just frankly a good taste feature. So that's kind of cool. I guess so the real, I guess we do kind of understand it. Now I've ran into something I don't understand. Why is this so enormous? I thought the point of that was to make it small so that it calculates correctly. Now we need to know the ratio. We can apply it to our font size. As this is just a regular font size, we can use clamp to make sure it no goes smaller, fine. Because our text with a modified size is inside our growing but contained element, it does not have all the space available. That's not a big deal. We already saved the available width and now we can apply it. Okay, so this is like the step before, essentially. We apply it so the element with the increased size won't wrap. So we're like forcing the size of it to be the space that we have. I mean, it kind of makes sense to me. This is like still relatively inscrutable code to me. I wonder what that is all about. The container is bigger than absolute 0. Shouldn't that be pretty much all the time? So you only want it to not wrap when it's not entirely collapsed, I guess. Hi, Andrew. Thanks for joining the stream. I'm always throwing weird times at y'all. Ooh, is that even visible? The max font size optional param with no default is interesting. What do you think the best way to tell a dev consumer that it's available to use? Kind of a classic problem, isn't it? It's like if you make it's like, how do you document stuff correctly? It's like you made a React component and it takes 5 props. How do you tell devs that it's got those props? Well, it's kind of like, well, I don't know, it's in TypeScript, so you should just know, so you can just hover over it. The dev tooling behind that is probably a little better than CSS custom properties are. Maybe that's getting a little better. I have seen in VS Code, it's like a little bit better these days, where if you type --, it kind of gives you, it almost like understands which ones are available to use, but that probably wouldn't work out particularly well here. You'd have to probably just write it down. Either that or you're the one who wrote it, so you just know that it's there. That's one of the same reason I don't like, there's a way that you can offer styling to a web component through the shadow DOM, which is like, I don't know, have a bunch of CSS custom properties that apply that styling. It's like, yeah, I guess that's kind of cool, but how do you know that they're there? How do you communicate that to somebody? It's the same even with the parts or whatever. That's like, it's not a particularly amazing documentational structure. Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, that's cool. So Andrew's saying you could, one of the ways you could document it is just, is this, I'll add it to the broadcast. You just, apply it with an empty variable. That's interesting to me. What does that do? I get that it's a form of documentation. I don't like that the white text on there. It's hard to read. Because my understanding is that like everything is, almost everything is a valid, like even a space, as they say, is a valid custom property, but var isn't. It's like the one thing that's invalid practically. There's like very few things that are invalid as a custom property. But maybe that one is. That's cool. All right. So I guess we kind of have it. Oh, and he goes on to account for optical sizing and variable fonts. I don't know that we need to. It's amazing that he has dug that deep, but I'm not sure that we need to. We're not using variable fonts or optical sizing. I mean, maybe we are without knowing it, but that's cool. So that is a variable font that uses those features. I'm not sure we need to spend too much time on that. So the beauty of it is it was very easy to steal. We literally just stole this, plopped it in there, and used the same HTML. I mean, I guess that's how HTML and CSS is supposed to work. But it is pretty satisfying to see. I guess we could check other browsers, but let's guess at what other browsers support would be. Like container queries is supported across the board. We've had Flexbox for, has it been a decade? At least. Custom properties is okay. What's the least supported thing in here? Clamp seems fine. Logical properties seems fine. Is the infinity keyword? CSS infinity keyword. Is that have any browser support issues? This is Will, isn't it? What's up, Will? Do you have browser? I remember reading this article. I was like, infinity what? I do think it's nice once in a while to use it for like border radius or whatever instead of saying 9999 pixels or whatever. Browser support is pretty good. Oh no, it linked to something that isn't there anymore. Yeah, seems fine, yeah. No IE11. So infinity's cool. What's the least supported thing in this entire list? Ooh. I feel like that's the nested thing with the font variant. We don't need that. I'm gonna get rid of it. CQI is the yeah, container units. That didn't ship exactly when container queries did. So maybe that's it. Yeah, I guess you're right. It's probably that. It was really not that bad. This syntax, did that ship with container queries? We can do the comparisons like that instead of saying min width and all that. There's really, I guess that's really the advantage of this technique is the like probably pretty great browser support of it, despite it being just incredibly weird. All right, well, I guess enough said about all that. This is like a half decent template. Remember, the goal with this is just to mark it as a template under the CodePen templates account, so that when you go to the create menu, we're going to populate these official templates on CodePen with the ones from the basically that are owned by team. No, I think we made it a collection. Like we have a collection that only we have access to as CodePen admins, and we'll add stuff to it. And then, so one of the 2.0 templates hopefully is this one. Look at the screenshot of it, just says kapow. I kind of love that, but it's because the JavaScript executed that scrolls the thing down to the bottom of the page. That's hilarious. But it takes the screenshot on like a Linux box or something, which probably doesn't have quite the same fonts as my Mac does here. Because aren't we using just, no, we're using a loaded font face. It just looks different, doesn't it? Why does that look so different to me? Let's split screen it. I guess it doesn't. It looked weird for me for a second. Like the O, the negative space and the O is bigger or something. Yeah, the fact that actually is supported in our screenshot tool is pretty good. Once in a while, people write in with like some absolutely cutting edge feature that the screenshot doesn't capture. But yeah, it should be actually a screenshot. I think we're leaning into all screenshots for now. With 2.0 pens, you might be familiar with, like, if you go to following or something on CodePen, if it's animated, sometimes you'll see that animation actually go. Right? And you saw that movement. That's because we let like an iframe play for like 5 seconds or something like that. Right? But the new editor is like a little bit more dangerous to do that on. Because who knows, you could have 1,000 file pen or whatever, not quite 300 file pen on our highest plan for now, loading who knows what. It just feels like a little bit too weighty. Not to mention, one of the ways that we make this kind of as safe as it can be is to like instrument the JavaScript and remove annoying crap in there like autofocus or it trying to download a file, or like there's all this like extra stuff we need to do to make this iframe safe. That's a lot harder to do in the new editor because of how many files it can be and stuff, especially doing it quickly. So just screenshots for now, but we're hoping to actually like take little movies of pens. We've explored it a little bit to take a little MP4 of the pen and play it, and then instead of just showing an image, if the pen is animated, which is actually not that hard to figure out, show a movie instead. That should be pretty cool. How did I get off on that tangent? I don't even remember. But the idea was that there's this create menu, and I want to have as many kind of like really cool templates as we can for that. If you have the feature flag for the new editor, you'll be able to sort this by 2.0 pens and whatnot. Yes, wonderful. So, that's not centered, is it? What happened there? I'm just gonna fix up and polish up a few things in here, and then call this one good for now. These can be revisited at any time, of course. Maybe when we talked about all that donut scoping stuff the other day and messed with this, because I'm seeing this content class in here. It's a wrapper, which applies the maximum size and the centering and the padding. It's content, which just has to do with links when we were talking about donut scoping, and it's intro to have a unique selector for itself. So intro P is the thing that we could center. So find intro. Ooh, this is nice. So the other day, this is just a tiny little weird aside, I guess, is that it was high. Ooh, that's less my favorite when it's not. I was just about to tell you how good the styling is, but when does it go blue on blue like that? I did this search and it was absolutely blue on blue and 100% blue on blue. And I was like, well, that's not going to fly. So I just did a PR yesterday morning to make sure that it was this styling, and it's consistent across all the themes, choosing colors from the themes and all that. So if it finds multiple things, like here, I'll look for outline. So it selects both of those. Oh, that looks awful. I thought I fixed that. Oh, maybe it's just not deployed yet. I think that's the case. So anyway, I fixed this styling because that's obviously embarrassing for such a major feature. Find in code. Yeah. Anyway, it's better now. I'll make sure it gets deployed today. I like that style a little bit more. I like using the outline property on it, and I mixed in a little mix blend mode to make it look cool and stuff in the different states, because it not only needs to select them, but it needs to tell you which one you actively have selected. That's okay. It could be better, but it looks a lot cooler now. Again, I'll make it deployed. Oh, what was I actually doing? Oh, we were looking for intro. And then just, okay, so it's centered it that way, but the intro P can also be just centered, right? Margin inline auto. I'm going to get rid of that bad boy because we don't need that no more. Save. So there's a decent amount of trickery kind of sprinkled into this thing. There's the smooth loading of the images. Look at how smooth that is as they come in, which are lazily loaded. There's logical properties being used everywhere. There is light mode, dark mode that looks perfectly nice. There is fit to width text. There's grids being used. All sorts of tricks, I guess. CSS carousel here. That's pretty lovely. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that as shipping that. Okay, so we did get that centered. That's good. I don't know if we did any mobile stuff. So I don't know. Maybe we should do one more day on this and this typography and getting these in a wrapper properly. There's just little touchy things to do. It's the kind of work where honestly I almost prefer not talking through it. It's the kind of work that just feels good to my brain to just stare at it, put on some chill music and just start plucking with classes and playing with CSS. Maybe less compelling as a stream. Is that what we called that? Will that push it in? Yeah, that looks better. And then we got to write some media queries to make sure that collapses. No, we already did it. That one's full width and these are 50%. Yeah, we did the footer okay. But that probably wouldn't fly. Wonder what we should do there. Should that turn into a carousel conditionally too? Or would you just single column it? I mean, single column, it's like the no-brainer example. But if I did that, I'd want there to be really clear that this goes with this and this goes with this. Probably not alternate the size, like probably just put the image first and the text. And then what do? Do you like overlap the text a little bit to make it really clear that they're connected? And I'd put like a lot of space vertically between them to make it really clear. That's the kind of crap I think about, I guess. We could do fluid type on this thing too. Notice that the header has fluid type, but not the body copy. Actually, that doesn't bother me that much. I'm not sure absolutely everything in the world benefits from fluid type. Okay, pretty good. I feel good about that, and I feel even better that my freaking audio didn't cut out. My best new theory then, even though I changed too many things. You know, when you're trying to diagnose something, you probably shouldn't like change 5 things, because then if it's fixed, you don't know which of the 5 things actually did it. I changed too many things. I made the mistake. I switched my audio interface, and I'm running like I quit like every other app because it had a software kind of feel to it. The audio failure yesterday, and I think that Zoom was on. Like, wouldn't surprise me that like Zoom got bitchy about it and tried to, I don't know, steal or interfere with the audio in some way. Remember when we played with animation composition the other day? I have these open still because I'm not sure what I want to like say about it. Like if I was going to write a little Chris's Corner in the Spark about it or a quick blog post, like what did we actually learn from that? And I think the most interesting thing we learned from it was that that little trick that Andrew taught me about how you, if you apply a transition and then fine, it'll move in that direction. Then you apply a rotate and then you apply a transition after it. It like, or not a transition, a transform after it. So you like move it X 50 pixels. Now rotate 45 pixels. Fine. Now add another X translate of 50 pixels. It like moves at 45 degrees. That was like a huge thing I learned. But in the end, it didn't have anything to do with animation composition. Like the only reason it came up is because of the way that it combines transforms, I guess. So it's related. It's just not like super related. So I just don't know what to say about that. We haven't looked at this on the stream, but this is going to be interesting. We might as well. I haven't even seen it work actually, but it's a way of drawing lines in between grid items that I'd at least like to play with. Feels like hot news in the last couple of weeks. And then somebody wrote in, this is like Google's AI pointed at a repo and then tell it to do some work, which feels very strange to me. But it's like the kind of thing that I feel like I should occasionally just try. So maybe we'll just do it on this stream. I'm just kind of planning out the week, kind of things we can poke at as I get my footing with what streaming is all about. So I think I might call it this morning. Maybe I'll come back this afternoon. I'm not sure. It's been a pleasure to do this. It's nice to have some plans. It's nice to have audio that works. It's nice to have this nice software that I trust. It's nice to have different modes. You can see me. What's up, y'all? I am just using, as far as equipment goes, which is of course half of the hobby here. This is like the Elgato cam thing. Not bad. I think it's wild how close you can get to it and have it still focus. That's crazy. Yeah, not bad. But I have, just because I had it sitting around as one does, a Canon Mark IV, which should be like way fancier. Actually, you know what? Just for fun, one of the things this software can do is change the camera that it's using on the fly. What if I click that? Now it's switched the camera to my phone. So that's the Discord and the eCab Live software. How cool is that? There's the Elgato camera that was just moments ago doing the video for this, but then the Mark IV is just sitting there, which obviously should be much more high quality video. Interesting. Key length that I forgot to even turn it on. Ooh, this is wild. Continuity cameras. Hilarious. Okay, if I disconnect that, just goes back to this. God, amazing. I can't believe we pulled that off. All right, friends. I think I'm going to actually plan the next one out a little better and then actually kind of promote it once in a while. Sometimes I just hit the stream button, so I assume you just get notifications through Twitch or Discord or whatever. But I'm gonna. I think on social media, it tends to fill up the room a little more. So we will see you either later today or tomorrow. Be good.